Welcome to our webinar this morning. This is Patrick at Qdabra. Thank you for joining us. Let's do a quick audio check just to make sure I'm recording correctly. Mel, can you hear me okay?
I heard you, Patrick. Did you hear me?
Great. Thank you for the verification. And thank you, Ralph, for also verifying. And if you have questions at all during this webinar, please feel free to use the GoToMeetings question dialogue. I won't be paying close attention to it, but we will be getting back to that from time to time. Unfortunately, today, Don, one of our form developers, Don Lambotten, was actually planning to do the webinar, but he's got connectivity issues, so you've got me. And I've gone through the webinar with him, so I'll try to do my best, and I've got Mel along with me, and I think we have a good webinar. And want to thank Don up front, though, for preparing it. He did a great job of putting the slides together, creating the demos, and we're basically going to be demoing his stuff. Today's webinar, once again, we're talking about after InfoPath. InfoPath isn't going away anytime soon. However, Microsoft has announced that they're discontinuing support in 10 years. They're also not packaging it with future versions of SharePoint. So we thought you'd be interested in learning about possible migration vectors, these planning for your solution roadmap in 2 or 3 years when InfoPath is buggy or is no longer supported in a very well way. So one of those options is ServBus, and we're talking today about ServBus. ServBus, for those of you who don't know, ServBus is a company that builds solutions for displaying your InfoPath forms in the browser without the need for SharePoint InfoPath Form services. So we'll talk more about what it is in a second, but ServBus is a company, and they have a great technology. In fact, they've got several technologies. We'll be talking about just one today, and that is the what we call the InfoBus, which is the form services product that they provide. And it's a great migration path for you if you're looking at browser-based forms. You need an alternative, and we're going to show you a demo today and show you how that works. That's the topic of today. So throughout the last, well, we've been doing this after InfoPath series now for about 2 months, I want to say, since the day before the announcement from Microsoft. And we're going through all of these different technologies to give you a lay of the land, so to speak. What is there out there that you might want to look at? And of course, there's no one size fits all. Everyone has a different solution. InfoPath was so popular because it had the ability to be used in 9 gazillion different ways, right? Well, there are lots of ways in which InfoPath is used today, and sometimes you're creating a survey, sometimes you're creating a simple form for a timesheet, maybe you're doing an expense report. Maybe you have a very large application that's built within InfoPath that has 20 different views. Every single InfoPath solution that you have today you've got a solution that's running, you need some kind of a roadmap. And we're providing this After InfoPath series to give you a bunch of different options. We've got about 12 different options. So next week we'll be doing another one. And one of the options is to look at ServBus. ServBus has here's a list of the different webinars we've done to date on the After InfoPath series, and we may change the future ones. We've got Pistachio, and we've got PDF Share Forms. We've got a bunch of different other technologies coming that don't show up in this list. Our goal is to give you a lay of the land, kind of a high-level view of all the different options available to you, and to show you kind of where each option may fit. In other words, which InfoPath forms they may map to. So we have these webinars up on our YouTube site. Feel free to go to youtube.com/Qdabra, and you can look at the previous webinars we did. So Microsoft deprecated InfoPath the end of January. What's interesting is that Microsoft also deprecated Windows XP about 10 years ago, and we still have many people using it even after support has finished. We would expect that InfoPath will continue to be supported for 10 years, and people will continue using it after that. So there's no need for you to panic, right? There's no panic. There's no Jackie Chan moment here. We're here to help. We have a team. This is 7 people out of our 13, which makes up the small group which we call Qdabra, and we're here to help you. And we're dedicated to help you move your eForm solutions forward in the future. 10 years ago, well, 11 years ago, we didn't have SharePoint. We didn't have InfoPath either. Guaranteed 10 years from now, we will not have SharePoint. There'll be something else. So things change rapidly in this new technology climate. The rate of innovation is incredibly fast. And we want to provide a bunch of different avenues for you to look at moving forward. One of those is ServBus. And when I say ServBus, think about getting on board the bus for services, right? That's what I think of when I think of ServBus. I'm not sure if that's what they had in mind when they created the name, but I think of all aboard, we're on the services bus. And this solution allows you to take an existing InfoPath form. So one of the benefits of ServBus is you don't need to change your InfoPath form at all. You simply install ServBus, the trial version, and your InfoPath forms will start working immediately. We're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to show a demo in a second. So why do you care? Well, you obviously need to continue with forms. Forms are an integral part of your business. Microsoft announced 4 different alternatives to InfoPath at the SharePoint conference in Las Vegas. If you've seen the SPC 348 video that they posted on Yammer or on the web, please raise your hand. We'll do a quick show of hands here to see who has actually seen that video. Thanks, Tom. And I think other people must have seen that as well, but Tom, you're the only guy. Actually, James raised his hand as well. Thanks, James. So this video showcased 4 different techniques, and Microsoft is looking at access, what they call forms on SharePoint lists, as well as Excel surveys, which Jimmy demoed several weeks ago, and Word. Now, none of those solutions today target InfoPath forms. There's no migration path. Your InfoPath forms have repeating structures, so even if you want to spend time to migrate your InfoPath forms to some of these technologies that Microsoft is promoting, they won't work today because Microsoft doesn't have the feature set in those 4 technologies. Now the reality is that Microsoft is going to continue supporting InfoPath for 10 years, and that's because they realize there's a gap. But there's also a bunch of other people out there that are working on to help you create a continuous roadmap given the technology that you have today, and ServBus is one of those. The benefit of ServBus is that it reduces your cost. So you don't have to have SharePoint. You can do SharePoint Foundation. It's got a bunch of wonderful features. You've got the ability to show your forms in mobile applications as well. They have these 4 different products: web form, the list form, which allows you to map your forms to a list. They have a mobile form that integrates with tasks, and they have workflows. So the pros are less cost to you, works on multiple devices, SharePoint libraries, integration, allows you to integrate with lists and SharePoint libraries. You have them there to support you. We're going to support you as well because we're a partner with ServBus, so we're dedicated to helping them and helping you. The limitations are that, in general, what I'd say the limitation is, and we'll see a complex form today. So this first bullet here is probably not quite right. What we should say the limitation is that currently you need to do a server install, and you will need, it doesn't work with Office 365 today. The mobile support is in beta, And there is a fee, so it's not free. Okay, so we're going to show a demo. Any questions you have, please feel free to use the question dialog. We're going to jump into the demo. And I have SharePoint 2010. Blast from the past, right? Here we go, and we're going to create a new form. And I've got two different sites. I've got this expense report form, which we've been demoing in other webinars. And if I navigate to my other site here, let's make sure this displays. I believe that if I open one of these that Don recently submitted, let me see if I can do this here. This is showing us InfoPath Form Services. So here's how the form looks in InfoPath Form Services. You know and love this, right? This is a two-view form. It's got the employee information. It's got the expense details. You can see we've got a nice InfoPath form here. We've got our header with our brand, where Forms Quo is our new site where we help you with your form solutions, your migration path, name of the form. You would also probably want to have a tagline, maybe a help button and so forth in your header. We've got a nice footer. You know, it's a relatively simple form, not very complex. Now this form is InfoPath Form Services, so we don't care about that other than to look at it because we're going to show you next what it looks like in ServBus. And I just need to click on Add Document. So now we're launching the form in ServBus, and you can tell it's ServBus because of this trial version icon here, this little logo that appears on the right. So when you install the trial, you'll get this little trial version sticker here. Now notice that the form looks very, very similar. In fact, it's almost pixel perfect with the previous one. But if you launch these controls, you'll see that they have a little bit of a nicer date control. That's kind of cool. They've got the ability to do a required fields validation. Obviously, if I choose something that's invalid, it's going to show me is fast. You know, they've got a nice ASP.NET backed interface here. So it's very fast, and I need to get my dates correct here. If I hover over this, you'll see that end date must be greater than the start date. Well, it looks like it is 2010. That's the issue, so I'll just make this 2014, and we should be good to go. And need to make sure I get the month right. Okay, there we go. Let's see, so training in Vermont. Okay, and my name is Patrick, and we're going to enter some information. You can see here that there's some postbacks, but the postbacks are relatively fast. Now this is an on-premises install. There's no 365 yet, but we do expect it in the near future. And you know, it's just like a normal InfoPath form, except it's a little bit snappier, and it doesn't require InfoPath Form Services. So that's good, right? Now, I'll show you in a minute that it does support list integration. It supports submitting to the library. Obviously, we can do this. Okay, there's a bug there. I must have typed in the wrong name or something. Let's just go back here. Let's see if it saved anything. Did not. So we'll go back and try it again. I have to realize, first of all, that I was not planning to do the demo. Dawn had everything prepared. So we'll try this one more time here. And I'm guessing that there's a required field or something I need to enter that I forgot to enter. Perhaps forgot to add a purpose or something. So we'll try this again. And Mel, if you know what the problem is, let me know, because I'm just doing this here, as you know. So we'll add an expense for the flight. You can see how fast it is to, it does do a full page refresh, but it's relatively snappy. Okay, and make sure we have this information here. Okay, so I'm just going to try to submit one more time.
And try to manage your email address too, Patrick, please.
Okay. This solution has been out for several years, and we have actually some of our own customers that are working with ServBus to reduce their costs. And so there we go. So I must have just done something wrong. But if I open it again, it's going to show me the InfoPath Forms services. So you can see here, and the reason why I show this is because it shows you the XML round tripping. It's going end to end. Now ServBus, of course, is installed, and whenever you click on Add Document, it's going to intercept that, and it's going to show you the InfoBus format here. If you don't have InfoPath Form services, obviously opening the other documents would also open in the InfoBus, and you can configure your SharePoint site to open those automatically in InfoBus, even if you have InfoPath Form services. But that kind of defeats the purpose, because the idea here is that you're saving costs using this technology. So that's a quick demo. We have a couple questions here, and let's see, Michelle has a question. So this is for existing InfoPath Forms, not replacement for InfoPath Forms. Correct. You take your existing InfoPath Forms, and it allows you to view them in the browser. In essence, it is a replacement technology for InfoPath Form services. So I guess I can answer kind of twofold there for you. The benefit is that InfoBus, ServBus, is a technology that doesn't require Microsoft support for InfoPath moving forward. So in 2 or 3 years, if there's a bug in InfoPath, or 1 year or so, and you need to continue with your forms, this is one of the options available to you. In addition, you can move to it today, like some of our customers have already started doing, and it allows you a slightly faster, the interface is faster, the technology is better. InfoPath Form Services was created back in 2006. ServBus created InfoBus more recently, so it's using more current technology, so it's slightly snappier. And that's the good news, right? So it is both a replacement, but it's also a replacement that works with existing InfoPath Forms. I hope I answered your question, Michelle. And thanks, Maria, for the suggestion. I don't know what it was that got me to get through that little demo speed bump, but I got through it. Maybe I think it was the manager name, like Mel said. John has a question. Does SharePoint Foundation support InfoPath Form services? And that's definitely no, and that's the reason why we're doing this today. That's the second reason. The first reason is it's a migration path. Second reason is for people who do not have browser-based support today, and they're like, I want browser-based support, but I don't want to pay, to buy all the enterprise CALs for SharePoint. This is a cheaper option, and in some ways it's a better option because it's faster. It doesn't support everything. They haven't been out quite as long as InfoPath Form services, but we're very impressed with what they've offered, and we also think that they have some additional features that you may find handy. For example, the submit to SharePoint lists integrated into the product. So there's some definitely benefits there, and we're here to support you with their solution. And Brian, you've got a question. Do database connections need to go through SharePoint, or can they connect directly to their systems? So that's a great question, Brian. Thank you. And I didn't actually ask Brian to ask that question. I didn't. He's not a shill, so to speak. But one of the customers we have is using DBXL, Qdabra's database connective web services, with ServBus to map the data from the forms into a database. So you do need some kind of a web service interoperation layer there to map the data. What I was going to show real quick is I was going to go into the form here and show you those data connections, because just to show you here that the form in the designer is actually using a SharePoint list data connections as well as, and we'll take a look here. So here's our form in the designer. If we go into data connections, you can see that we're getting the user profile by name. We've got an XML secondary data source. We've got categories secondary data source. We've got departments. That's a list lookup. That's an example of SharePoint list integration. We've got a submit to SharePoint library. That works just fine. We've got the email. So pretty much everything is working pretty well here. But obviously, you'll need a web service to submit to a database, and we didn't include that as part of our demo. But that's a great question. So once again, Brian, to answer your question, the InfoBus product requires some kind of a web service to submit to a database, and Qdabra supplies that DBXL web service. We have a free version in 365, the DBXL Azure. We also have the on-premise version, which you have a copy of. So if anyone's interested in mapping their InfoPath data to a database, the benefit is that you can migrate your data into your SQL database and therefore use it for access or for some of these other options we presented in the last few weeks. We'll also be talking more about that in the future, but that's a great question. Any other questions for me? Mel, do you have anything to add?
No, I think you've pretty much covered it up. I just want to say that I had a chance to test the mobile form piece of the solution, and although it's still in beta mode, and which means it still has some bugs, I can attest that it works in my mobile phone. It works in my iPhone.
Great, thanks for that. And thank you for joining us today. This has been a short webinar. We're talking about ServBus today. We showed you a quick demo. We talked about the benefits, the pros, and the cons. Really, there's not a whole lot of con other than 365 is not supported yet. There's a slight fee that you have to pay, and it doesn't do offline, obviously, because it's a connected version. So take a look at ServBus. Let us know if you have any questions, feedback. We don't have anything to distribute as part of the package in this webinar today. You've seen this expense report form as part of previous webinars. We're more than happy to help you install a trial version of it, get it up and running. It's very simple. It took us literally, I think, Mel, what did it take you guys? Just an hour or so to set it up. So it's a very seamless, smooth integration, and well, it's a great option. So it's one of these other options to look at. In addition, keep in mind our FormsCo site, we're going to be featuring different options from here until the end of June, and then we're going to be packaging all of these options together into a book that you can present to your, an ebook that you can present to your management on the roadmap of, basically it's going to be an e-form solution handbook that talks about best practices, talks about the reason why you want XML, open data, data-driven design, the reason why you want to use web services, the stuff that you love InfoPath for today. We'll be talking about that in our book, and we'll also be talking about different technologies and which ones are really interesting. And I think ServBus is really interesting. We have a couple tools out here on our website. We have the Assess tool that allows you to scan your SharePoint site for your current InfoPath dependencies. We have a tool to extend, to map your data into a database so you can use Access. We have a tool to extend your forms and maintain them by adding features to them. And then of course we have, and that includes the Forms Viewer, which is our open source free viewer that allows you to view the forms. And it's in beta, and we have an option to allow you to migrate the data. So take a look at formsco.com. We have a matrix on the site where we're talking about these different technologies. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Once again, thanks for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to present to you. Sorry about the little bit of technical glitch here with our presentation, but we look forward to having you here again next week. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thanks again. Oh, one more question. Brian, I'm sorry, John, you had a question. How much is the server? Cost. I'm going to defer that. I'm going to take that offline, but it really depends. There's a couple different. There's not a one answer here. So do follow up, John, with us afterwards, and we'll give you a number. But it's definitely cheaper than InfoPath Forms services, SharePoint, and Cal licenses. It's a server-based license, so it is inexpensive. It's not free, but it is inexpensive, and we'd love to help you understand the benefits there further with regards to your wallet. Thanks again for your questions, and we're here for you if you need any help whatsoever on your current InfoPath solutions, on your roadmap for the future. Please don't hesitate to give us a shout out, and that's formsco.com or Qdabra.com, whichever one you prefer, or InfoPath Dev. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for your time.